That's better. That's better. So this is my new Periscope setup at home, in my home office in Houston, Texas. And I'm going to give some people a couple minutes to get here before I get started. I hope that's okay with everybody. I've got something kind of important to talk about, and it's something that I've recently been going through, and I would like to share it with you. And I see people getting here right now. So, can you follow me back? I probably can, but I can't do it right now. I can't do it right now. So let's just go ahead and get started because we know people can join us on the replay. I'm Crystal Wright. I get people unstuck, and you are on my list of things to do. I want to welcome everybody for tuning in this afternoon. I know I kind of did it at the last minute, but so far that seems to be my way. I get my periscopes in where I can. And I'm in a really crazy time right now because guess what? I'm getting ready to move. Yes! I am moving to Seattle in just a few weeks. So anyone who has ever had to move knows how crazy that whole experience can be. So that is absolutely what's going on in my life. I'm going to start in just a minute, but first let me remind my replay viewers that even though they'll be watching this video after the live broadcast, their hearts still matter. So please remember to tap your screen and let me know when I'm hitting that sweet spot for you, because that really helps me. To my live viewers and my replay viewers, remember that Apple users can swipe right this way to share an invite, and Android users can swipe can swipe left to share an invite. Let me give you guys a little bit of information here. Look, I'm getting so much more professional. Here is how you can contact me. On my website, Periscope, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram. I'll hold that up at the end. What type of lens am I using? I'm actually using my iPad. Do you like it? Does it look good? And a couple of events, very professional, thank you. So a couple of events that I have going on this month and at the end of the year. I want to share this with you. I don't know how many of you have seen on Facebook that I'm doing a free webinar. How about that? A free webinar. It's called Get Unstuck, a virtual book signing and Q&A with Crystal Wright. So if you have questions for me, if you have questions about the hair, makeup, and fashion styling career guide that you've been dying to ask, questions about getting signed by an agency, you can join me on that free webinar. There's the web address, getunstuckwithcrystalwright.eventbrite.com. And of course, there is my 4-day PYP workshop that's coming up in October. We already have 18 people, I'm excited to say, signed up for October 2016. And hey, Crystal, I'm so excited to attend your PYP Summit. Well, we're not going to have a PYP Summit until 2017. You guys don't know, that thing almost took me out. But I do have my PYP workshop coming up in October. And I'm even going to be putting a PYP something on the calendar for later this year, probably December in Los Angeles, because people have been screaming at me like crazy about not doing another one. So I am going to be doing another one. But let's go on to the topic that I want to talk to you about today. And it's called Press the Restart Button. Give yourself permission to start again without guilt. So, you know, I know it looks on social media probably like I've got it all together. But like anyone else, I have my moments. And I had a moment that lasted 3 months, believe it or not. I think after the PYP workshop in October, really getting to November, December, and January, I just wasn't getting anything done. I just really felt stuck. How about that? I get stuck too. I really felt stuck, and I just didn't, I wasn't finding a way to get out of it. So I thought this would be a great topic because I know that I cannot be the only person that's feeling that way. So you guys know I always have my notes, so don't mind me referring to them. Yesterday, I finally got myself back into, actually it was 2 days ago, I finally got myself back into a space that makes me feel good. And for me, that space is the big chair in my bedroom, because that is where I sit and that is where I commune with God. Everybody, most people have a higher power. I don't really care what it is. It can be God, it can be Jesus, it can be Allah, it can be whatever it is. But for me, there's something more than just what's going on down here. And me getting in my chair makes a big difference in my life. And it's what makes it possible for me to make a big difference in your life. Okay? So I happened to be reading Ezra, and it just hit me. It just hit me because what they were talking about in that chapter is building God this temple, God's temple. And they were starting and they were stopping and they were starting and they were stopping. And it took like 3 kings to build that temple over an entire couple of generations. And I think that we forget sometimes. Oh, thank you for reminding people to give me hearts. I think we forget sometimes when we get started doing something and we lose our way, it just starts to feel like the end of the world. But when you think about other people who created things and built things and did things, on the surface, it's like when you see an actress and it seems like they're like an overnight success. Most of the time, when they start doing interviews, you find out they're not an overnight success. They've been in the trenches just like you. They've been in the trenches trying to make something happen for a really, really long time. And that just made me feel like I needed to stop feeling guilty about the last 3 months. Because what was in front of me and what is in front of me can be bigger than what's behind me. And I can't do anything about that anyway. So my question to all of you is, have you ever thought to just give yourself permission to start again? And notice that the words I'm choosing are start again as opposed to start over, as in I'm going to do something brand new. Sometimes we're in the midst of something really, really important and we get stalled and we just need to start again. That is my message. So I wanted to suggest some ways that we can get back on our game. Okay? Because, like I said, I fell off the wagon, and falling off the wagon to me means that I'm being unproductive. And I always say unproductive is you're really busy, but you're not working on anything. You're moving around, you're shifting paper. That's how I did. I shift a lot of paper around my office, and the piles just keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. I don't go back and look in the pile for what I need. I just start writing on a new piece of paper. And the bigger the pile gets, how do we feel? The more overwhelmed we feel by the size of the pile. Sometimes I've just had to take the pile and throw it away and start again. Just start again. So when I fell off the wagon this time, I was being unproductive, wasn't getting anything done, but I was really busy. I kept feeling worse and worse and worse about myself and the fact that I wasn't really getting anything done. And I was going through the motions. Does anybody know what that feels like? It's like, okay, you can get up and you can go to your job. You can go to your makeup job, your hair job, you might be doing props. You might be a producer. You can go to your job and you can get it done, but you're not really pushing the ball forward. Maybe there are important things that you need to do and you're finding other things to do. You need to update your resume, put the new jobs on it that you've done, but instead of doing that, you do busy work. Does anybody know what that feels like? Let me see some hands if anybody knows what that feels like, because that's what I was doing. I've got some really important projects that I'm working on, and I was getting my coaching done. I was getting things done for other people, but I wasn't getting anything done for myself. The artists that I'm coaching, they didn't know I felt stuck because I was getting them unstuck. If I had to go do a speaking engagement, I was going and I was getting there and I was showing up and I was nailing it to the wall. But then I'd come home and I couldn't get any of my own stuff done. Okay. So it becomes a vicious cycle. The busier I got, the less I accomplished. The less I accomplished, the worse I felt about my own lack of productivity. So what I wanted to do was I want to look at how I got there. Because I think if you guys can see how I got there, then you might be able to look at your own scenario and see how you got there. And it's once we see how we got there, we can dismantle it. And it is in that exercise that we can figure out how not to go back there again. Or, I'm not saying you'll never go back there, but what I am saying is it can take you less time to get out of the cycle. Okay? Less time to get out of the cycle. So, when I looked at how I got there, the first thing I realized that I was missing my quiet time in my chair with God. I was missing that time. Now, for some people, that time is meditation. I mean, I was listening to Rock Cosette. Am I pronouncing his name right? Is it Rock or Rocky? Rock Cosette. And he did the most freaking fabulous scope today. You guys, you have to see it. I hope that he puts it up on YouTube or somewhere because it was so amazing, his scope today. He talked about fear. He talked about attraction, and it was a rock solid. It was 30 minutes long. Rocky, okay, right on. I couldn't take my eyes off of it. I listened to the whole thing. So me missing my quiet time is important because my faith keeps me grounded. So the further away I got, the less grounded I felt. It was like somebody had unplugged me from the socket. They had unplugged me from the socket. So the other thing is that I wasn't exercising. I'm a walker. And right before I went to the PYP summit, I felt like I was gaining a little bit of weight. So I just had started walking. And for like a month and a half, I was getting my walk in, doing 3-4 miles. I went to not the summit, the PYP workshop, October 2015, 4 days. I came back and I was exhausted and I got out of the habit of my walking. And I did not start walking again until January, the end of January. It was horrible. So I realized that number one, I wasn't sitting in my chair. That derailed me. I wasn't getting what I needed on the inside. And number two, I had stopped exercising. Number three, and I wrote this down at the last minute today because I was trying to think, but there's something else. So for those of you who know or don't know, and I promise I'll answer your questions at the end, but when I was watching Rocky today, he was like, I'm not going to be answering these questions, you guys. You have to wait till the end. And I feel exactly the same way. The other thing was that I was spending too much time in this house. Those of you who are freelancers or entrepreneurs working from home, because if you're a freelancer, if you don't get a check every week or every 2 weeks, you are a stylepreneur. An artist who is as serious about their business as they are about their art. That means a lot of times you're working from home. It can feel very, very isolated. You feel very isolated. There's nobody else around. This is why I tell artists all the time, when it comes to making phone calls, don't try to ask somebody out for lunch. Just ask them out for a cup of coffee. Because if the decision maker is a freelancer just like you don't know it, but a lot of times they feel just as isolated as you do. And while they don't have time to go out for lunch, they do have time for a cup of coffee. It breaks up the monotony of the day. So I'm living here in Houston. Number one, I can't open up the windows. Why? There are no screens on these windows, and you know there are bugs in Texas. So now I'm not getting any fresh air. I'm not walking, and I'm holed up in this house all day. Stuart goes off to Australia for almost 21 days, and I kid you not, other than Victoria Calloway, yay Victoria, inviting me out, I was in this house. Do you know this feeling? That feeling when the cloud starts to descend on you and you start to suffocate under the weight of it? That is how I felt. And I wasn't doing anything about it. Because number one, I wasn't sitting in my chair. Number two, I wasn't exercising. Number three, I was feeling isolated. And number four, I was not making the effort to get out because I didn't even realize that I was starting to feel suffocated. Stuart came home and rescued me just in time. He came home and rescued me just in time. So, let's talk about how we can fix it. Let's talk about ways to fix it. I'm going to tell you how I fix mine. Because, of course, while all this is happening, don't forget, I'm feeling crappy because I'm not getting anything done. Number one, I had to let myself off the hook. The 8 weeks these weeks from the PYP workshop until now, until January, they were gone. They were gone and I could not get them back. So to sit and now feel like, oh my God, I haven't gotten anything done. I had to let myself off the hook. Number one, let yourself off the hook. Number two, realize yesterday is gone. You can't do anything about it, but you can do something about tomorrow. Number three, stop beating yourself up. Just let it go. Let it go. Find some positive self-talk. Find something that you can say to yourself something you can say to yourself over and over and over again to drown out the sound in your head, that sound in your head that makes you want to stay connected to this negative behavior that you need to let go of. Okay? Just got to do it. Now, the next big thing, number two, get focused on accomplishing just one thing. I talk about this at 30 Days at 100%. The people who are on this call that read that book, 30 Days at 100%, Changing Your Life 30 Days at a Time, know that if you can just find one thing to do, one thing to focus on, that you accomplish, in the accomplishing of it every single day, you start to feel better. It doesn't matter. It can be a small thing. It can be if you haven't been getting up till 9 o'clock in the morning. And let me tell you, I just realized what I didn't put in here. I was sleeping until 11 o'clock in the morning, until 10 o'clock in the morning. Then I was staying up until 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. Then I was getting up at 11 o'clock in the morning. I was staying up till 4 o'clock in the morning. So the cycle was just getting worse and worse and worse. So find one thing that you can do. One of the things, well, I was really glad when Stuart came home because then I knew I'd start getting up at 6 o'clock in the morning again. But what I did was I set the alarm on my phone. Here's a little thing. I set the alarm on my phone. I wasn't too drastic. I said, if I can just go from getting up at 9 o'clock in the morning to getting up at 8:30 in the morning for a few days, that would help. I set the alarm on my phone and I put the phone outside of my bedroom. Outside of my bedroom, so I would have to get up, go out into the hallway to get my phone, and then I go into the shower. Okay? So you found yourself feeling this way. Oh my God, yes, getting up early can make all the difference in the world. Getting up early and me getting that water on my face, everything is better once I get that water on my face. So a small, more achievable goal so that you can re-experience success. Because I know you've had some successes. So what we want to do is we want to start to re-experience that success again. And you can start it with something small, even if it doesn't have anything specifically to do with your career. Just take a small step, repeat the step so it starts to become a habit, and then add something to it. That's the premise of 30 days at 100%. Then add something to it. Okay. The next thing is, if you're going to pray for something, pray for focus. But don't get so far ahead of yourself. Don't get so far ahead of yourself that you start praying for a list of things. And remember, grace is new every single day. If all you do, pray for focus for today. If you're up at 6 o'clock in the morning, say, I need focus today. Don't worry about tomorrow. Tomorrow will take care of itself. Right now, we got to get through this day. That's what I learned. We got to get through one day at a time. So just ask for help from your spiritual guidance or in your meditation. Ask for help for the one thing that you need to get you through that day. And do that for several days. Then add something to it. One of the things that I did was I went on Groupon. I said, I got to get out of this house. What am I going to do? One of the things I know about myself is if I spend my money on anything, I'm going to do it. So I knew that I needed a trainer. I needed to start moving around. I needed to get my body going. And I said, I need a trainer. I went on Groupon and I found a trainer who had 9 sessions. So that's 3 sessions a week for $109. What is that? $15 a session for 45 minutes? I went and got it. Got up. I had to drive across town. He said, well, I can come to you. You know what I said? I said, no, I don't want you to come to me. Let me come to you. So I went to see him so I could get up, get out of the house. And that helped me even before Stuart got home because I was getting up and getting out and going to see him. Next thing, stop looking for instant gratification. The race is not always to the swiftest. You see, we've gotten so used to instant gratification in this Instagram, Facebook, gotta have it, gotta get it done right now, that we don't realize that it takes time to make things happen. How many of you can create a habit in one day? That's what I thought. No hands went up that time, did they? You can't create a habit in one day. So stop seeking instant gratification for everything. Put some time in to make it work because that's when it sticks. Okay? Don't feel like a failure because there isn't a big win every single day. Don't even, you know what? Don't even speak it into existence. Monitor the effort that you are putting in. And instead of focusing on what you didn't get done, take the time to write down on a piece of paper the things that you did get done. Because when you haven't been doing anything and you haven't been productive, just seeing it written down on a piece of paper, yes, celebrate the small wins and the efforts. Write it down so you can see it. One of the things that makes me feel better, especially when the day gets hectic, sometimes the end of the day comes and I feel like I didn't get anything done. But if I sit down and say, okay, let me just stop and think about what I did today. And I can start to write them down. Sometimes I can write down 3 or 4 things that I did get done. And those 3 or 4 things that I did get done, inspire me to do some more the next day. Okay? So we don't want to feel like a failure because we don't get a big win every day, but we want to celebrate the things that we do get done by writing them down and taking a look at them. Next thing is this. Don't call yourself a loser. Don't even say it out loud. You see, a lot of times we don't realize that the things that come out of our mouth go back into our head. So when you say out loud, oh, I'm such a loser. Oh, I just totally screwed that up. No. Don't even say it. Don't even say it under your breath. It didn't all get done today. Tomorrow is coming. You can do a little more. But we are not going to talk about ourselves in a negative way out loud or under our breath. We're going to celebrate the things that we did get done. Yes, there's power in the tongue. And here's another thing. Call those things that be not as though they were. Say the things about yourself that you want to be. I think Rocky even touched on that. You guys got to watch that Periscope. I'm going to watch it again. You got to watch that Periscope. The next thing is change your routine. Okay? Find a way to change your routine, because if the routine that you're in is a rut, ooh, that's a good word, isn't it? Me getting up at 11 o'clock in the morning, me going to bed at 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning was putting me in a rut. I needed to change my routine, and I did that by setting the alarm on my phone and taking the phone and putting it outside the bedroom. That was how I started to change my routine. You can't keep doing the same thing and expecting a different result. The moral of today's Periscope: when you fall off the wagon, get up and do something. Give yourself permission to start again. When you fall off the wagon, get up and do something. Give yourself permission to start again. And that's what I wanted to share with you today. That's it. That's what I wanted to say. Oh, I love you too.